Hello and welcome. Incredible week one of NFL football, starting on a Thursday night game between the Broncos and the Ravens. Peyton Manning, man, he threw 7 touchdowns, tied the record for touchdowns in a single game. He threw 27 for 42 with 461 yards in the air. He spread the field. He didn't throw to 1 or 2 receivers. He threw to 4 different receivers for those 7 touchdowns. 2 to Julius Thomas, 2 to Demaryius Thomas, 2 to Wes Welker, and 1 to Caldwell. What can you say? You don't predict those kind of games. The ending score was 49-27. Moving on, we had New England versus Buffalo. New England took it 23-21. Next was more of a surprising one to me. I thought it was going to be a bigger gap, but it ended up being a really close game, and that is Seattle and Carolina. Seattle came out on top 12-7. I was thinking it was going to be somewhere more like 36-10, but hey, what do I know apparently, huh? Next, Cincinnati versus Chicago. Chicago takes this one 24-21. 1 touchdown for Cincinnati more than I thought. I thought it was going to be a 24-14 game. Ended up being 24-21. Close game, but Chicago came out on top. Next, we have Miami versus Cleveland. I predicted a 21-6 game. It ended up being 23-10. Not bad, eh? Next, Minnesota versus Detroit. Detroit getting the job done 34-24. I really did think that it was going to be a 13-3 Minnesota win, but Detroit went out there and they showed who's the dominant team in the division. So that will really help them as of right now. Next, we have Oakland versus Indianapolis. I predicted it was going to be a 28-10 game. It ended up being 21-17, closer than I thought. The Raiders played hard. Terrell Pryor had a pretty good game until the end when he threw it away with that interception. He could have come back and won it, but instead made a rookie mistake and threw an interception to end the game. Next, we have Kansas City versus Jacksonville. That one wasn't even close. I guess the 31-24 outcome, it was a 28-2 outcome. The only points they could score was a safety. Wow. Next, Atlanta versus New Orleans. New Orleans taking the win 23-17. It was a really crazy game. It looked like Atlanta had it at first, but New Orleans pulled through and got the win. It was a good game. Next, Tampa versus New York Jets. I predicted that Tampa was going to win 28-14. It ended up being a Jets win 18-17. Came down to the wire. Tampa kicked a last-minute field goal to pull ahead, but then let the Jets go downfield and kick a field goal to win the game. That's how that one ended, huh? Next, we have Tennessee versus Pittsburgh. I predicted Pittsburgh was going to take that one 14-10. They ended up losing it 16-9. It just didn't go their way. They didn't have what they needed out there. I guess losing Mike Wallace was a big part of what happened. I'm thinking, that he was one of their key receivers, and losing him just kind of it really hurt the offense. So there's that. Next, we have Green Bay and San Francisco. I predicted a 34-26 victory for San Francisco, and I did not see what happened coming. Colin Kaepernick had an outstanding game. He finally threw the ball. Finally. He did not rely on his legs, but on that cannon of an arm he had. Or has, not had. I mean, I knew he had it, but he always decided to run. And he finally decided that his arm could win games, and he threw for over 400 yards. And that's what happens when you trust your arm. They ended up winning it 34-28. My prediction was 34-26, so that wasn't a bad call on my part either. Next, Arizona versus St. Louis. I had I had Arizona winning 19-14. They ended up losing it 27-24. Next, the Giants versus Dallas. I had the Giants winning 34-21. Dallas ended up winning that one 36-31. Close game at the end. Next, Philadelphia versus Washington. I saw this one coming. RG3, he was timid, didn't get any play time in the preseason, and he didn't want to run. He was nervous too. He was babying his knee. Seemed like every time every time he was running the ball, he made sure to get out of the bounds as quick as he could. Good idea on his part. You do not want to risk injuring your knee again this early in the season. But his arm accuracy wasn't there either, and he ended up throwing 2 interceptions, which is a lot compared to how many he threw last season. So Philadelphia ended up winning that one 33-27. I predicted a 21-14 win. Can't get them all right, huh? Next, Houston and San Diego. Wow, what do you say about a team that is winning by 21 points going into halftime, coming in to the second half and letting Houston come back from a 21-point deficit to win it 31-28. They didn't stop anything that Houston had in the second half. There was an interception for a touchdown, pick 6, and it just seemed Phillip Rivers was not at ease at all. And then J.J. Watt got a swat. What can you say? He's going to be doing that all season. They found their rhythm in the second half and came back and won it. Second time in 2 years that the Chargers have given up a big lead in the second half to lose. Last year to the Broncos, they had a 24-point lead going in to halftime and ended up losing that one too. So they have some stuff to work out. It looked like McCoy's first game as their head coach was going to be a win, and the team just couldn't pull through for him, and they ended up losing it. So we'll see what happens in week 2. I'll be making my predictions. I went 10-6 this week. Guessed 10 right and 6 wrong. That's not bad for my first time. I hope to get better. And see you guys later.